Welcome to our online lesson. I am Svetlana, Cotovan-Naval, an English teacher at Mihai Eminescu High School, Chișinău. For the beginning, I recommend you to look at the pictures and try to guess what we are going to discuss about. Of course, we can see some students or children. Then we have the process. What is it connected with? Learn or study. How are we going to do it? Of course, it is online, representing in the picture by air or device. And the country that you know or recognize is Australia. So, we are going to speak about the School of the Air in Australia. Today, at the lesson, we will solve a riddle, learn new words and expressions and use them in sentences, learn about the School of the Air, identify the problems that Australia had to face, and do a SWOT analyzing using the information from the text. Word study. The picture is representing a rancher. It is a person who owns or works on a ranch, a large area of land usually devoted to raising sheep or cattle. The next one is indigenous people. They are native people of a country protected by law because of traditional ties to an area. Remote. Located far from the main centers of population. Counterpart. A person or thing that is equivalent. Now let's practice the new words. Complete the sentences with the missing words. Counterparts, remote, indigenous people, rancher. We have the sentences. Find the place of these words in the sentence. The Secretary of Defense met with his counterparts in Asia to discuss the nuclear crisis. He plays a rancher who is forced to employ a group of youth for a cattle drive after his regular crew head for the gold mines. Most of those forest lands are in drier, remote areas prone to make frequent fire compared with private forest lands. The loss of this path will greatly affect the indigenous people, the Baka, who use them to hunt small games and search out medicine and other resources in the labyrinthine rainforest. Before reading, I would like you to look here at the questions and try to answer about your school in your country. What limitations does your school have because of its distance from the capital city? I have mentioned here some ideas. Internet connection might be a poor one. School supplies, number of teachers, there might be not enough teachers of different subjects, no school bus or other means of transport that is necessary for students to move to school and from school too. Another question. How well does the internet and social media work in your school or region? Some ideas. The internet works in every classroom, student-teacher connection, no available Wi-Fi, or virtual libraries that are accessible for everyone. Now, we are going to read the text about School of the Air in Australia. While reading, try to identify the problems that Australia had to face when developing this idea. Australia is not only a country, but it is its own continent as well. And while most of the population of Australia lives near its magnificent coastlines, there are huge areas in the interior of Australia where ranchers and indigenous people live and work. This area is so vast that traditional schools are not always practical, It may take hours for a pupil to travel to and from school each day. So, what do young people in need of an education do? They learn over the airwaves. Started in 1959, the Alice Springs School of the Air was created to allow students too far away from school to have an opportunity to learn and vocally interact with teachers and other students via radio, though hundreds of kilometers apart. The school now has over 120 pupils in 12 grades, with 14 teachers in attendance. In the past, materials on a wide variety of topics such as English, mathematics, science, history, and social studies were flown or driven out to the students. Every day, at a specific time, the students would call in on their two-way radios and discuss their lessons with their teacher and classmates that they could also reach by radio. With the creation of the Internet, the School of the Air is much more interactive, visual, and interesting. Teachers create presentations, send them via emails, and the students can now attend school via live video feed. A typical day for students in these remote areas is to wake up at dawn to help their families with chores, come back in around 7 a.m. for breakfast, and by 8 a.m. classes start. There are about 7 classes throughout the school day, each lasting from half an hour to 45 minutes. Students discuss the topics with their parents at home and with classmates via social media, and homeworks is assigned with every class. If there are enough students in a given area, pupils will meet once a year at one student's house to have a mini school. This gives them some time to practice sports, get to know their classmates in person, and do hands-on activities such as art and craft. You may be wondering how parents and teachers communicate for those dreaded parent-teacher discussions. A couple of times a year, the teachers drive out to spend the day with the students and to talk with the pupils' parents about any issue he or she may be having with school. Additionally, students and parents have access to teachers via a toll-free telephone number. So, how do these schools compare to traditional schools? Experts and statistics show that marks and test scores from students who attend the School of the Air are equal to or greater than those of their counterparts in traditional schools in Australia. To save money and direct classes to the interests and needs of individual students, maybe in the future, all students will be learning at the speed of the sound. I hope you have noticed the problems that are common to this country. Let us check. So, I have mentioned here some of those materials on a wide variety of topics such as English, mathematics, science, history, and social studies were flown or driven out to the students. Every day at a specific time, the students would call in on their two-way radios and discuss their lessons with their teacher and classmates. Another problem that we have mentioned here in the text is that students need to wake up at dawn to help their families with chores, come back in around 7 a.m. for breakfast, and by 8 a.m. classes start. Students discuss the topics with their parents at home, not with the teachers in the classroom. Pupils will meet once a year only if they have success. Another one is how parents and teachers communicate. The teacher drive out to spend a day with the students and to talk with pupils' parents about different subjects. In this part of the lesson, we have to find the words in the text to complete the list of the synonyms. Sunrise, daybreak, daylight, early bright. It's the town. Be afraid, fear, apprehend, tremble. Dread it. Copy, duplicate, match or equal. Counterpart, appointed, delegate, input, attribute. It's assigned. Let us continue. We are going to do a SWOT analysis using the information from the text. What does it mean? You have to choose from the text information that express strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now let's see the possible answers. If we're speaking about strengths, we have mentioned convenient for the students that live far away from schools. Some pupils feel more comfortable while studying at home. They feel relieved and ready to assimilate different values of information. The internet gives a lot of opportunities for interactive activities that help students learn better the topics. If we need to mention weaknesses, they might be: there is a significant lack of communication, and as a result, students might feel inhibited while having to speak in front of real people, rather than at home behind the screen of the computer. Some irresponsible students may have a poor motivation to study if they are not supervised by their teachers. What are the opportunities? We have new interactive platforms to be discovered, for example, mind maps, diagram creators that require the dexterity to work using them. The possibility for all students from different parts of the country to go to study at university after graduation the high school. If we mention the threats, the weak internet radio connection might be a real obstacle improving the lesson. Some families with a lot of children can't afford to buy every child a personal device. I have selected 3 things you should know about the School of the Air in Australia. Be attentive. So the first one. The first School of the Air lessons were officially sent from the Royal Flying Doctor Service by Alice Springs on 8 June 1951. The school classes were conducted via shortwave radio from 2003 until 2009, after which most schools switched to wireless internet technologies to deliver lessons that include live, one-way video feeds and clear two-way audio. In 2009, as part of the Q150 Celebrate Icons, the School of the Air was announced as one of the Q150 icons of the Queensland for its role as an iconic innovation and invention. Hope the information I have shared with you will be useful for the future. Now let's see, what have we done today at the lesson? We have learned new words and expressions and have used them in sentences, learned about the School of the Air, identified the problems that Australia had to face, and done a SWOT analysis using the information from the text. But remember, not everyone fits into the traditional school model, and the online program provides another way for us to meet the diverse and often unique needs of our students. Thank you for being attentive at the lesson, and see you next time.